Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this podcast on prepared homemakers. Now, first of all, I want you to know it's not just about preparing to be a homemaker. Okay, there's more to it. So just sit tight and listen and wait for us to explain. Okay, inshallah, this will be super beneficial. It's going to be super practical. That's the point. We want this to be super practical, inshallah, and beneficial, inshallah. So I have with me, I'm obviously your host. This is QaQaa, aka that American Mahajra. And I have with me today a very special friend of mine. Her name is Fatima, and I'll let her do her own intro, inshallah.
Digital Hijrah Journey. And I'm very excited to be here talking about a very important topic for us all. So let's get into it.
Inshallah. Perfect. Okay. I love that. Okay, so Fatima, you know what we're talking about, right? We're talking about prepared homemakers. And basically,
Yeah.
let's get into just like a basic definition of what my idea of this is. This is basically a term that I came up with while I was doing the course that I mentioned to you earlier. While I was filming the course, I was thinking about titles, right, for different modules. And I was like, what do I call this? Like, this is so important and everything. So I really wanted it to have like an impactful title. And I came up with this idea of prepared homemakers. So prepared homemaker, basically, lucky for you guys, I'm not gatekeeping, but basically, prepared homemakers is the prepared aspect means that you have the skills and the knowledge that's necessary to be prepared for any kind of plan B kind of situation, right? But also the homemaker part of it, prepared homemaker, the homemaker part of it means that you have the skills, because homemaking is also a skill. You have the skills and knowledge that's necessary to perfect your plan A, because plan A is still a happy marital home, right? We're trying to find a happy marriage. We're trying to have a flourishing marriage, a healthy, happy, emotionally balanced, growing marriage, inshallah. So the skills that are necessary for that is the homemaker aspect, and the skills that are necessary for your plan B, because plan B is important. We're not against education. We're not against girls working necessarily, but not every work situation is the best situation for your plan A. Some plan Bs actually jeopardize your plan A. So trying to pick a plan B that's actually suitable and beneficial and not harmful to your actual marital home is what this is about, basically. So this is
Yeah.
my idea, basically. This is what we're going to be diving deep into, basically. And you actually, Fatima, Allahumma barik. So I want you to talk a little bit about what you're teaching and how that can be beneficial, especially for homemakers. Like, how does it tie into the homemaker role?
Right. So I think, I'll just introduce first what I do. So basically, what I do is that I promote digital products, or I promote teaching you how you can start and grow your own digital business. And what sisters have to realize is that we have a lot of skills that we can monetize from our home, from our phone, from our computer. And you might be an amazing cook. You might be amazing at drawing henna. You might be a homeschooler that wants to create resources. And all of these things can be monetized through digital platforms and through, for example, creating a course or creating an ebook, template, a guide, whatever it might be, any digital product. And there's so much untapped potential between us sisters that we can use to, like you mentioned, prepare or be both a stay-at-home mom, a good wife, and at the same time make a bit for ourselves on the side and have sort of a passive revenue coming in that way.
Exactly. This is exactly so important, right? And what I love about this whole digital marketing thing is that this is the best thing for mothers, for muslimahs, for practicing muslimahs to get into. Because is there any interaction with non-mahrams? Have you seen it's just so safe. Can you speak a little bit about how it's so beneficial and better for practicing muslimahs who want to avoid free mixing. They want to avoid going outside basically and interacting too much with non-mahrams and with a work environment that might be toxic and all this stuff. So how does digital marketing help avoid that? Because doesn't it just like you don't have to interact with anyone, right?
Absolutely. I just want to address one thing first that you mentioned about like if it's practically possible. Subhanallah, like we have a sister here she's in Riyadh. She has 6 kids. She works as a full-time English teacher and she's doing this because she wants to get out of her working, situation. It's so possible. What you need is you obviously need a will to learn. That's the most important thing, and to implement and to develop yourself, as we should as Muslims in any part of life. Like we should do that as wives as well. Want to become better wives, want to become better mothers, and educate ourselves to do that. And with this, so if you have that willingness to learn and you have your phone and internet, that's all you need, and you're able to turn your passion into profit. And I was like, yeah, I was watching your journey as well, and I was always thinking like, subhanallah, she should do courses, online courses. She should do, ebooks, guides. All of these things are ways for us to create passive income. Now, with this, you don't need to interact with anyone except the people that interact with you on this platform, on Instagram. So you can use TikTok as well, but personally, I just use Instagram. Mm-hmm. And you have women, obviously you're targeting women, right? Sisters or mothers or whatever it might be. And they're the only people you'll interact with on, this platform. So it's completely up to you how you interact and with whom you interact. And you create the content that you want. So you don't even have to show your face. There are some women that choose to, there are other women that don't. And honestly, this 2024 has been the year of like faceless accounts, and even non-muslimahs are going faceless. Right. So the potential is amazing. I mean, literally turning your own passion into profit. And there's so many ways to do that. I've seen one woman, she's a non-Muslim, but her example is amazing. She teaches every night so that they can have more peace in the morning. And she's like hitting some basic idea. Like it's the most, we almost laugh at that idea, but it's actually a way of making money. So sisters, like you can literally do this from home and turning your own passion into profit.
Exactly. Okay, so now I want to ask you something.
And just like,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, subhanAllah, I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree, I've worked in corporate internationally. It was very difficult for my iman. It was very difficult for my peace of, the peace that I have in my heart. And like I worked in Muslim countries, but still you have to mingle with men. You have to be in an environment that are not good for Muslim women.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. That was kind of what I wanted to get into actually. So
their iman and their fitrah.
Do you think there's like a degree that you need to do that would maybe is like, okay, so if we're talking about a young audience, right? Like we're talking about teenagers, right? We're talking about 18, 19-year-olds basically that are getting into college and they want to do a degree and they don't know what degree they want to do and they're trying to decide because they're practicing muslimahs, right? And they know that they want to have a healthy marriage and maybe they want to be stay-at-home moms, but also they need a plan B, right? So what is a degree necessary? Is there a certain degree that you could do? Is there any major that you would prefer to pick that would aid them specifically with digital marketing, or do you think it doesn't matter at all what educational, professional education background you have or don't have?
If I was to go back in time now and like choose a degree for myself, if I wanted to do a degree, I would definitely do something that in the end doesn't make me end up in a workplace, that I can work from home. So, any like creative stuff, digital marketing, I know it's a major even. You can study, graphic design and all of these computer, online sort of pathways, so that you don't have to put yourself in, a working environment. Personally, I have a bachelor's in international marketing. I have a master's in international business and economics, and still, at least in a lot of parts of the world, you're forced to be in a working setting with, an environment that is not good for us. So I would say that if I was young right now, I would definitely go for something that in the end doesn't force me to be working outside my home.
Exactly. And I think that this is the thing, right? Just because you're passionate about a certain degree or about a certain major doesn't mean it's a good plan B. Because now, for example, if I take my own example, right? When I was in college, I didn't know what to do. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I was like, maybe I want to be a neurosurgeon. That was my thing, literally. I wanted to be, my life plan was literally either I get married and live the stay-at-home mom life, or I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. So it was like either this or that. But I knew that both of those don't work together, right? And the thing is, what you want, the most safest thing you could do for yourself is pick a career, pick a plan B that could work with your stay-at-home mom. So, for example, I studied neuroscience, right? And honestly, with my degree, what I was planning, like if I wanted to do a career, if I wanted to work, and if I wanted to earn with that degree, what I would have had to do is actually go into a lab, basically, and I was going to do research. That was my plan, right? But I got married like a week after I graduated, actually. So I didn't have to work, alhamdulillah. But that was what I was planning for, right? I was planning to literally, I was just going to apply to different labs, and I was going to start working at a lab. That was my thing. But the thing is, you don't, that's not a good plan B, because let's say I'm married, right? And then let's say that I have a kid, and let's say my husband dies. Because literally, you could die. Death could come to anyone at any point. It doesn't have to be, what if he's abusive? A lot of people are so scared. They pick their plan Bs based on oh, what if he's abusive? What if he's a narcissist? What if this? He could literally just die. Like, he could be a great guy, but look at a lot. You never know when death will overtake you, right? So that is a reality that you should prepare for. But let's say you have a kid, right? Would that be the best thing for me to do? Like, go to a lab and work in that way?
Yeah.
That would be so bad.
It wouldn't, yeah.
That would be so difficult. I would be signing myself up for so much difficulty.
It would be very, and not only yourself, but your child, because that would mean that you would have to are in America, but in Norway, it's 100% pride blasting from like 2 years old. It's the indoctrination that's going on in the kindergartens is horrible. It's horrible. So you would your heart would, explode every morning having to put your child there.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I realized, right? Like, if I really had to, if my life just in a flip switch, if it just if I needed to suddenly start becoming the main provider financially, the degree that I have in just neuroscience is not helpful, actually. It's actually really not helpful at all. That in itself is not helpful. Now, of course, I took knowledge from there that I can now monetize in different ways. It literally does benefit me in different ways, right? But just the typical, if I just went down that route, that wouldn't work. So this is what I want young girls to think about, especially if you care, because a lot of young people, a lot of young muslimahs, they want to be good mothers, right? They want to give proper tarbiyyah to their children, but they also want to make sure that they're prepared. And they don't know how to prepare, actually, because they don't know which major to choose. They don't know how it would balance. They don't know how it would play out. And a lot of times, dude, at 18, 19 years old, honestly, you don't have the wisdom, the foresight, and the knowledge to really pick a really good degree. It's just a lot of times you're not prepared to do that. So this is what I want to say. Like, it's great to do something that you're passionate about, but make sure that you can use that degree to make it an effective plan B where you could still also stay with your child. Because even if, like, you know, some people, they have family support, right? And that's fantastic if you do, alhamdulillah. But how long are you going to rely on family for as well, right? At some point, you're going to have to step up for yourself, and you're going to have to start earning and doing your own thing. So, and who can raise your kid better than you? There's a lot of women that, like, you know, they don't want to even have their own mothers raise their kids, because sometimes your mom isn't on the same wavelength as you with a lot of different things, and that's fine. That doesn't make her a bad mom or anything. It's just that you guys have different, like, you know, ideas, different goals, different visions. Ultimately, Allah made you the mother of that child. He didn't make anybody else the mother of that child. So ultimately, you're the best one to raise your kid, right? But then how can you provide for yourself? So then while also being super involved with the tarbiyyah. So one thing, for example, a lot of people are really passionate about becoming a doctor, right? And this is, I feel like, a sensitive topic because uh, because they always use this argument also, right? Like, oh, but Muslim women, they're gonna want a female doctor when they go to the hospital, but they discourage their daughters from turning into. That's not true. I think there's a balance, right? So some people, I think, are just made to be doctors, and they're just meant to be doctors, right? They just have a specific passion, and they have the family background as well, and they have the surroundings and the environment that actually allows them to thrive, and allows their children to thrive as well. You might be able to find an exceptionally good partner, basically, who's able to help you out in that journey. And you might have a family, basically, that's able to help you out while you're a doctor as well. Like, for example, my own sister-in-law, she's a doctor, Allah Mabarak, she has a baby. But alhamdulillah, my mother-in-law, she's able to take care of the baby while my sister-in-law is at work. So alhamdulillah, they have a really great setup going and everything. So she's able to do it. So we're not against female doctors, but if you're one of those people who says that you want to be a doctor, really think about it. Are you really cut out for it? Because otherwise, you might literally just be wasting your degree, and you could be doing so much better with your time at doing a proper self-analysis of your own personal skills and your own personal goals, and really deciding, like, are you just becoming a doctor for the sake of becoming a doctor? Are you just doing it because of the clout that it comes with, because this is your parents' dream or something like that? Or are you really doing it because you are meant to be a doctor? If you are meant to be a doctor, then go for it, and there's no problem with that. I would never say don't become a doctor, but what I would say is really make sure that you are cut out for it, because I see too many people doing degrees just for the sake of doing a degree, and they're not thinking about the practicality of it. They're not thinking about what else they want in life at the same time. So this is something that I really want to emphasize.
I think also that, you know, especially if you start to feel your heart being drawn more towards the DEEN, then you want to really think about, okay, where am I a few years down the road? Because if you guys are going to if you're going to get married and start thinking about hijrah or stuff like that, you have also to have a degree or you should have a degree that is in line with that. And some degrees are just not. You're just not going to be able to get a job abroad with that degree, or you might not even want to. So like having a job that you can do from anywhere, I feel it's the perfect setup for 2024, 2024, like the future, basically, because the world is moving in another direction. It's not the same direction where we just sit in a workplace from 8 to 9. Now you can make money from anywhere from your phone. So start thinking about those things. That's the future.
Exactly, 100%. I agree. Sometimes whenever I say, like, you know, that the world is changing, degrees don't hold the same kind of meaning used to, a lot of people get triggered by this, because, you know, they've invested a lot of hard work into their degree, and I totally understand. But also you have to, you gotta challenge yourself, and you have to challenge your worldview if you want to be on top of it. If you really want to be safe, and you really want to make sure to be protected in case of those crazy situations or whatever happens, then you need to really, like, you know, you need to be willing to change. And you need to be willing to
Yeah.
see things the way they actually are in the modern
Yeah.
day. And you need to be able to, like, you know, really comprehend where this is going, where this is all headed. And is it really how it used to be, or are things not like that anymore? Because you're right, honestly, the future is very different. And this is why personally, honestly, even, okay, so now let me ask you this. If you were just like an 18-year-old, right? And let's say
Mm.
let's say you want to get married early, right? So now early marriage, like, do you even need a degree actually for the kind of digital marketing that you're teaching, for example?
No, you don't even need a degree. You just need to be, willing to learn. So you learn through
Exactly.
courses. There's plenty of free resources to learn. Also, we live in an age that you can do anything from your computer. You can even get
I
a
agree.
degree on your computer. So
Yes.
there are sisters that even they get married, they don't have a degree, but they maybe study something online just for their own benefit. And that's really amazing when you think about it, because like a few years ago you couldn't even do that. Now we have so many resources in front of us. It's just about taking it. So it's about taking the sabab, like take the sabab,
Exactly.
take the reason, educate yourself. You don't have to go to a fancy university and mingle with other people to do that. You don't.
Exactly. This is
Yeah.
exactly what it is. And honestly, a lot of times, I feel like, especially if you're trying to get married young, for men or women, I know we're talking about this as a prepared homemaker, like for women, basically, but I think even for men, like, you know, especially if you're, because ultimately he's the provider, right? And he has
Yeah.
to, this is your primary responsibility as a man to
Yeah.
provide. So if you want early marriage, because honestly, the fitness in the world, we know, right? And
Yeah.
it is wherever you live. Honestly, even living in a Muslim country, the fitna is here too. Like there's no
Yeah.
denying that. Like the fitna from the West has spread literally everywhere, and the fahisha, like the amount of, it's just so bad, right? So if you want to protect yourself from the fitna, honestly, start early and get into this kind of stuff. Okay, so what I want to ask you is, because you've been in the corporate world, right? You've worked
Yeah.
like a regular job, basically, right? Like the
Yeah.
9 to 5 kind of thing, where you sort of sign a contract, you get your job description, and you grind for that, basically, and you have a set salary that is stable, guaranteed, coming through to your bank account, right? So now compare that with digital marketing, where it's a little bit up in the air, right? It feels
Yeah.
like it could, like, what if you fail and it's all on you? And what if you don't, like, I don't know, work hard enough, or what if you don't get the results? So how does that compare? Like, was there more peace of mind, maybe working a corporate 9 to 5 kind of job, or like, how does it compare to digital marketing?
I would say corporate life is extremely draining. There's a lot of pressure and you don't feel a lot of peace, to be honest. Yes, you have, your monthly income. You might have some bonuses here and there as well. But to be honest, is it really stable? Like, look at how many people got laid off during COVID.
That's true.
So is it really stable? Like,
True.
uh,
And when you
anytime
need
you
it the
can,
most, you know, like COVID was a hard
yeah.
time. Like you really need, and it just like up and vanished. That's
Yeah, it was gone like that, and then you had nothing. No one cares about you. Like, if you quit the next day, they found someone else, they just replace you like that. With digital marketing, I've learned so many skills. I'm just in the beginning phases of this, so I've learned so many skills of how to create multiple income streams, not just one. I'm not just doing digital hijrah journey. I'm doing other things as well. You learn how to do affiliate marketing, you learn how to do brand deals. There's so many different things that you can do online, and that's what's amazing about it, because it's just one step of the, like, it's a step into this world, like this digital world, and
right.
there's so many things to do within this world. It's not just one thing. So I think when people are afraid to just step into the world, you're just not going to go anywhere. But if you
That's
step
true.
into it, you're going to see all of the possibilities within it. And I really think that anyone that works for it, they'll see results. Unfortunately, Muslims are often sitting on the, sitting in the corner just looking at everyone else. Like, the non-Muslims are doing it. Like, they're
That's true.
really doing it.
That's
The
true.
men, the women, the stay-at-home mothers, they're really doing this. Why are we not doing this?
I mean, teenagers too, right? Like literally teenagers get into this and start doing that because they have value to provide and a different perspective and different talents too. Literally anyone.
And so much creativity like amongst the young people. So, I think that we have to dare to explore new things.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree, 100%. Now, another question I want to ask you is, do you feel like it's more work? Like doing digital marketing now, are you working more hours, would you say? Is it, if we just look at the time and effort, would you say it's more time and effort to provide the same kind of income, comparable income level, or would you say it was more you were working harder at your corporate job for the same amount?
That's a really good question as well. I think it depends on the stage, because in digital marketing, you put in the work in the beginning. Like, let's say you wanted to create an ebook or you wanted to create a course. Obviously, the period that you're doing that work, then you put in a lot of work because you're actually creating something. As soon as you're finished, you're not really doing anything except promoting it. And then the income is just, you have all of your systems set up. So your income is just coming while you're sleeping, while you're out with the kids, while you're playing. So it's more like the periods of life where you have more intensive work. Whereas with corporate life, it's intensive, like throughout. Like I worked in Singapore, so it was like I was out the house at 7, I was home at 7. And it was like that every single day. So there was no break, whereas with this, you might have 2-3 weeks where you're really hustling because you're putting in so much effort for your ebook or your course or whatever it might be. But then after that, that's all, you have that income come. And especially if you set it up as an affiliate program, then other people can sell it and you're still getting a commission on that.
Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. And you're right, actually, because so I did a e-guide, right? Recently, I put it out, I think last week now. It was about like how to find a halal spouse, right? So you're right. It just, I mean, that was free. I'm not making money off it, but still, like the effort, basically, it was just when I had to write it, just kind of designing it, writing it, making sure that it's readable, easy, everything, right? But then after that, it's still getting downloads and everything, but I'm not putting in effort for that. So now if that was an actual digital product that like basically was selling, it would be the same thing. Like it was just some time that I had to work hard on it basically. And then after that, it just kind of keeps, it just kind of automates, right? Is that what it is?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think like if someone wants to start this but still needs a job, again, you can start this while doing something else, and then build it up to the point where you feel like this is sustainable to you, and then you just quit that job, So there's many ways to go about it. We have a lot of people, like I mentioned, this sister, she has a job, she has 6 kids, but she's doing this because she wants to quit that 9 to 5. So it really goes back to like how much do you want this change, like do you really want, what kind of life do you want? Because I believe like you can literally shape the life you want with dua, making like sincere prayers to Allah, putting in the, taking the sabab, taking the reason, and putting in the work. You'll have what is blessed for you,
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
What
I was thinking about before coming here today was basically, I have one marriage failed, and then after that marriage, and obviously I grew up as a non-Muslim in a very liberal family, and you don't have parents that raise you to become a homemaker, right? But what I did after my first marriage was basically be like, okay, like where did I go wrong? Because he might be crazy, he might be A, B, and C, but still we need to work on ourselves. That's our responsibility. Work on ourselves. So I was like, yes, what do I do to have a more successful new marriage? So there's actually, this is a non-Muslim, but I really find her amazing. Her name is Laura Doyle. She has a lot of books on marriage, how to be a submissive wife, how to be a good wife, and she's literally saying that a happy marriage comes from a submissive wife. Because when a woman is submissive to her husband, he will become happy basically, and you won't nag on him. So she has podcasts, she has books, and I just my point here being that anything that we do as a Muslim, anything you do, you have to seek knowledge before you're doing it. Marriage is half the deen. So obviously you will have to seek knowledge. It's like if you're about to make salah, but you don't know how to do it, you have to seek knowledge about how to do it.
Exactly.
It's very important as well with marriage. Don't just go into it. You have to educate. So important. A lot of us don't do it. And especially when you're coming from either a non-Muslim background or a family that didn't really raise you like, you know, how you should
Homemaker.
educate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, there's so many resources now. There's so many ways to do it, right? Like so many ways to kind of teach yourself. And again, it's about the work that you're willing to put in, because we talked about the prepared part, but yeah, you're right. Let's get into the homemaker part, right? And now, the thing with the homemaking thing is it takes time and it takes effort and it takes a lot of unlearning, because wherever you are in the world, to be honest with you, even if you're not growing up in the West, I mean, I grew up in America, right? But like, even if you're not growing up in the West, I would say that Western influence has infiltrated everywhere. Like feminism is everywhere, you know, this gender war mentality is everywhere. This anti-patriarchy kind of attitude is everywhere. So to kind of unlearn this and try to, when you enter a marriage, right? First of all, the first part of it is even picking the right spouse, which is why I talk so much about this like, really on my page, right? How to pick the right spouse and how to make sure that they're the right person for you. And this is what the course is going to be about as well, actually, inshallah. But the point is like, it starts over there, but then it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop with just getting married. Like you have to then put in the work day in and day out. And you have to like, you know, really, there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done. There's a lot of accountability. Like you said, Allahumma barik to you for that, honestly, because a lot of people, you know, a lot of us, unfortunately, we have the victim mentality, right? And we just try to put the blame on everyone else. But usually there's some things that we could also improve on to help make sure that our future is better. And even in my own marriage, right? I've been married, alhamdulillah, like seven years now. And what I've noticed is like in the beginning, just the way that you talk to your husband, like this makes such a difference. If people like I posted a reel about like how your husband doesn't need to change diapers, right? To be a good husband, right? And diapers, it's such a sensitive point. It's such a triggering point for a lot of us. And that reel, it just proved it, right? The point that I'm trying to make is a lot of times, look, if you're feeling, the reason that it's triggering, right? It's because women feel unheard because their husband, can't he see like how tired I am? I'm doing so much. If he's got a day off, why can't he just change the diaper and this and that? Well, sure, if he's got a day off, I mean, most of the husbands, if you choose a good man, right? If you chose a righteous man who's a genuinely good person, then he will help out here and there. But what I'm saying is like just picking and nagging at one specific trait is not the way to move forward. If you want to see your husband step up, you don't do that by complaining, actually. You don't do that by nagging. There's different ways. There's other ways. The way that you talk to him, the way that you react to him, the way that you like, you know, sit with him, your behavior with him throughout the day, all this stuff, the way that you honor him. This is like men, they rise up to the challenge, right? If you show him if you treat him like a king, honestly, he's gonna start acting like a king, basically. Like, and I think what you said, I love that because a submissive wife, this is key. This is absolute key. Once you master basically the power that being a submissive wife is, because you know people think that this is like a lesser position, right? But actually, in being a submissive wife, you are honing your power actually, and this is a means of making people change for the better. So these are things I think that just because, like in your own example, Allahumma barik, just because you come from a background where you didn't learn it doesn't mean that you won't succeed. There's so many people that you can benefit from who do talk about these things more, and they are trying to like, you know, do the help with the unlearning process. This is what my Instagram page is about too, a lot of it, right? And literally I think even 2 days ago I posted about this where like what if I've never seen what a healthy marriage looks like? Does that mean I'm doomed to fail? No, you're not doomed to fail. You just have to be willing to put in the work, and you have to be willing to take the sabab, like you said. Like this is exactly what you need to do. So inshallah khair. I think the message is basically ultimately that have the skills that you need to become a homemaker, and also have the skills necessary to be prepared for the various situations without harming your homemaking role, basically. And understand that not every career, not every major, not every passion of yours is going to be an appropriate plan B for that kind of situation. I think that's a great note to end on, inshallah khair. Is there anything you would like to say in closing, Fatima?
I would just, love to say to the youth that, really take some time and educate yourself. Look for option research to figure out what is the best path for you to take as an individual, for the next few years. Don't just think about now or what everyone else is saying. Educate yourself. Really take some time to figure that out. Ask around, ask the people that have more knowledge than you. You're young, you might not know, you might, be confused. So take some time doing that.
Exactly. Because there are people that are basically living your dream life, right? Like people that are kind of like living what you eventually want in your own life. So ask them, take the time to reach out to them. Definitely. This is so important. So, so important. Jazakallah khair for that advice, Fatima. And thank you so much, so much for taking time out today and joining me for this. I really hope Allah put so much barakah in all of your efforts. Allahumma barik. Like I am so honestly so inspired by you and just everything that you're doing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve your kids in the best of ways for you. And grant you so much khair in this life and the next, inshallah.
وإياكم. Jazakallah khairan for having me. May Allah bless you. May Allah bless your family and your next project. So everyone should stay tuned for her next project.
Yeah, inshallah. Inshallah. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.